Hello everybody, welcome back to more Fatal 12. It's been a couple of days for me. As of this recording, I finished the animation opening that I've been using for this series, which means I've finally been able to edit and upload the videos. As I record this, the first video has gone up, but it has meant I've been spending more time on editing and reviewing stuff and uploading than actually playing the damn game. So I'm happy to get back to this. Funnily enough, now that I've done all that editing, I've essentially played the first 6 hours of the game 3 times. And certain things are starting to come up to me. Last night, I'm not going to lie to you, I actually had a dream about this game. That's how much time I've been spending on it. Just preparing the series as well as playing it. So I hope you appreciate that. I also bit the inside of my mouth again. Don't ask me how I did that. A couple of recordings ago, I bit my tongue. Now I've got a bite on the inside of my mouth, and I don't know why. You can see my teeth. That's not a fun thing to bite your mouth with. But we shall proceed, because I want to keep going on this. I want to not waste time. One thing I'm really looking forward to is how those rules... I feel like I've said this for the last couple of playthroughs, but I'm really looking forward to the moment where we cross the threshold into actually playing this game, because the game dropped a whole huge rule set on us in video 2, and none of it has really come into play yet. It's kind of like Chekhov's gun, you know? If you're going to introduce elements into the story, you better be damn sure to use them, and I'm sure using them is coming up. But so far, every election has just been, I have your 3 cards, GTFO. And, yeah. We've had some interesting character moments for some of the characters. Noticeably Alan, last episode, which is kind of odd. But so far it's just been sort of character vignettes, you know? We had a little bit about Ro, which is nice. We had a little bit about Keiko, I almost forgot her name, which was cute. Now we're spending time with Sonia, and it's like, okay, guys, I appreciate that the characters are interesting and we're having these little mini stories, but I really want to get into some interesting plot dynamics here, and I'm sure they're coming. This game has quite a few endings from the look of the Steam page, so I'm sure choices that matter are coming up. Funnily enough, we're almost getting to the point where we're sort of down to the important characters. I mean, if you look at who's left, only 3 people have died, but think about who's died and who's left. First of all, Sonia is probably about to die by her own comments last video, so that'll be 4 out of 12. A third of the characters done, and who's left? We've got Alan, who's very important, Odette, who's very important, Federico, who's very important. Those 3 are basically our primary antagonists. We've got our main character, who's obviously important. We've got MIHARU, who, understandably, if something happens to her, that's going to impact the main character quite a bit. She's going to get involved. We've got number 4, the bomb girl / guy. We haven't figured that out yet. Funnily enough, there were some comments made, I noticed while I was reviewing, about changing your appearance or how you appear in the dream world as opposed to real life. An example of that being Federico, who I guess came into the dream world in a suit, and it's because he wasn't asleep. He was in another time zone. And I wonder if number 4 is sort of taking advantage of that, from the fact that she does have an androgynous look and she sort of passes for male and female. People are thinking she's a boy, but what if she's not? You know, again, we had that androgynous moment in the first video where we saw them, because we don't actually know if it's a boy or a girl, and they could kind of pass for one or the other, or they're twins. It's hard to say. The intro to the game makes this ambiguous as well. So, and of course, she's our murderer. They are our murderer. We still need to address that. You know, they are an important character, but we haven't quite figured out how. The only 2 fodder we've got left are number 5 and number 9. Number 5 was on screen for a brief moment, and number 9 has actually not been on screen at all this entire game, aside from the moment during the opening, the intro. Otherwise, I wouldn't even know what he looks like. So I have a feeling we're going to pass a point of no return, and I keep comparing this game to Steins Gate. I don't mean to spoil things. I'm not going to spoil things, but if you've played Steins Gate, you know there's a moment in that game where things get real, where there's a building tension, a threshold gets crossed. No spoilers, but you get some gentleman callers. Let's just say that. And from that point on, you're getting shot at, stuff's happening, things are getting very real, and I have a feeling that's going to happen at some point in this game, either because we get targeted or something happens to Naomi or whatever. And I'm just kind of looking forward to that moment. Like, come on, game, impress me with the actual mechanics here. I don't think any of our choices have had any meaning whatsoever. They might have, I don't know, but they haven't felt like they have so far. In any case, I'm not going to talk much longer. Again, I've been editing and reviewing and stuff, so I have lots I can say, but I'm not going to ramble on for too long. We're going to get right back into it. Like I said, we're spending time with Sonya, and she seems to have a fairly reasonable story. I believe her comments about Odette and Federico taking her parents and the things that Odette was saying, because we as the player know that that's very in character with Odette, and we know that those two have teamed up, even though the player character does not know that. But at the end of last session, we left a bit on a cliffhanger. We alluded that there might be more to Sonya than meets the eye. And I've been sort of mulling over what that might be. I have a feeling part of Odette's deal to save her parents also involves getting info on us, or just trapping us. You know, Sonya hasn't really been fishing for information, but she has convinced our very idiotic player character to take her to the zoo or something, take her sightseeing, when we really should be doing research and trying to save our asses. And at best, I feel like this is a distraction. She's occupying us to keep us from doing the things we need to do. At worst, I feel like she's going to lead us into a trap so that we're going to get captured and we're going to get, you know, tortured for information. And that's going to be the part of the conditions of Sonya's parents getting released or something like that. I also wonder if something to do with Sonya's illness might... Maybe she's a little older than she seems. We know that she died from an illness, but the game was specifically ambiguous about what that was. We know her name, we know her regret, but we don't have a card for her illness, and I think it might be because she hasn't specified what her illness is. Maybe it has some sort of... It's got something to do with like a form of dwarfism or something, and the only reason I say that is because I wonder if she's older than she looks. Because maybe the dark secret or what she's doing, it requires her to be a little less innocent than we think she is. Maybe she's a little more cunning and not so innocent, because she's not the 8 or 9-year-old she looks like. Maybe she's more, you know, late teens, early 20s, but she's gotten good at passing herself off as a little girl because of her illness. Maybe? I don't know. I'm really just wildly speculating. Like I said, I've been theory crafting over this game so much and wondering where it's going to go that I've been having dreams about it. No lie. So I'm really hoping this game delivers, because there's so much potential waiting as far as shenanigans, as far as the rules, and again, how you can manipulate your appearance potentially to mislead people. It also occurred to me that information destruction is a thing. And the reason I say that is when you get voted out, all your cards but one get destroyed. One of the things that I thought was interesting about that is that Ro had Odette's cards as far as name and cause of death. She claimed the name card for number 5. His other cards on her got destroyed, along with whatever other cards he had. It's possible that there's no longer a card for Odette's cause of death. I mean, we may still have to figure it out through deduction, trial and error, research, figuring it out, but it can no longer be used as a bargaining chip. And for someone like us, that would be crazy, because someone has our cause of death. We don't even know what our cause of death is. If that person gets voted out, our cause of death, like, how would you ever discover it? It's going to be interesting to see how that sort of thing plays out, where cards are actually getting destroyed. And when they get destroyed, how do you even get that information? I mean, we only know Alan's name because Keiko told us. If Keiko took that information to the grave, how would we learn it? You know, I mean, I suppose we'd be able to figure it out. But for things like cause of death and regret, that would be crazy. Anyway, I've rambled on for a good 10 minutes. Again, I'm really excited about how this game goes. I really hope it doesn't disappoint me. It's got a very high rating on Steam, so I'm expecting very good things. I hope people aren't just rating it up because, oh, look, interesting characters, character moments, like, you know, with Keiko and Sonya's an interesting blog. Like, I like the characters, but I want to see the overarching plot. I want to know what's going on with Parka. I want to know if there are ways to save more than one person. I want to know the dynamics of the whole game we're playing here. And I want to get into that. So let's get into that. Ohio, Rico. Yep, you too. So this is immediately after our cliffhanger from last session. And I guess we're going to school and then we're going to meet Sonya afterwards and show her around. I'm still amazed we let her stay at our place. I mean, Rinka, you... naive idiot. Okay, but let's see. Morini. Okay. Mao just having her own language as usual. God, Mao, I need to carry this book around at all times just to understand you. Good morning. Yo, did you notice that I turned morning Rinny into... Yes, I did notice that. I mentioned it to the viewers. Well done. Coming to school has helped me to settle down lately. Being reminded that I've still got a regular life despite everything does wonders for one's mental state. I can appreciate that from a therapy point of view, but you're still gonna die if you don't light a fire under your ass. Like, let's go. Aw, you're gonna ignore it? Yes, Mao, we have better things to worry about. What kind of reaction were you expecting from me? Psy'Min already did one. Well, good night, my friends. It's always a touch relieving to see Mao act as she always does. Mao let the comment fly over her head and sprawls out over her desk instead. I bet she's pulled another all-nighter. If that's the case, good luck waking her up before lunch. It's impossible for me not to smile at that freedom of hers. I'm just imagining Mao snoring her way through for the first half of class. No matter what happens, I'll always have this place. Yep, unless you die. I'm actually wondering how many endings Rinka even survives. If this game has a lot of endings, there may just be endings where, you know, she doesn't live and she gets killed off and we end on some other protagonist, because we've protag swapped with more than half of the characters that are still alive. We had brief moments with Odette, Alan, and even MIHARU. And then we spent some longer time with Federico, and of course we spent most of our time with Rinka. But that's 5 out of the surviving 9 characters. Yeah, enough of this. School's out. Screw lunch, I'm still tired, so back to sleep I go. You know, as someone who sometimes takes naps between clients, relatable. Well then, we might as well go up to the rooftop and nap up there. Yeah, what have you been up to that makes you this tired, though? Stayed up watching a drama because they were aired the whole thing at once online. By the time it was over, there was the sun. She's been binge-watching stuff. I also wonder if there's going to be more to Mao. Has she been helping MIHARU the way Naomi was helping us? I'm waiting for those twists, man. I want to see them. Where are they? Surprise me. Wait, so you didn't get any sleep at all? Again, relatable. That's why I'm sleeping now. Yeah, she's out of the game. MIHARU seems to be thinking the same thing. I don't even like Mao that much, and yet somehow she's my spirit animal. When was the last time the two of us managed to get time alone like this? Last Sunday. We make our way up to the rooftop after buying lunch. MIHARU was eating light, as usual. Today really is one of those perfect days for sitting up here. Speaking of lunch and drinking, I've noticed that my sparkling water, opening it up on the mic, tends to be kind of loud. So we won't be doing that anymore. I'm going to stick to coffee during the offlines. Any unintentional ASMR can be for the Twitch streams. And yet the fact that we're the only ones doing it proves that we really are avoided by others. To be honest, I feel like that's more of a blessing than a curse these days. I have to admit, I'm happy that we can still spend time together like this, even when divine selection is happening. Yeah, speaking of which, what have you been up to? I'm still curious. She accompanies her comment with that usual charming smile of hers. I mean, if she really does want us to survive, can't she be doing research for our sake? I mean, I'm not expecting her to do something for nothing, but at the same time, has she just been sitting on her hands for 3 weeks? As for me, and of course, right after that comment, you gotta hit me with the choice. I mean, I'll be nice to her. I'm happy too. It is a bit awkward. But, I mean, these can both be true. Let's go. Let's be nice. I'm happy about it too. Rinka, don't take that the wrong way. I'm just happy. You're probably going through some tough times thanks to this whole situation as well, so just being able to sit here and forget about it for a while really is nice. I really meant what I said. I know that I'll do everything I can for the sake of your smile. Let's not get into that for the time. Yeah, you're going to make it awkward. I just said it wasn't awkward. You're making it awkward. MIHARU's expression as she declared her intention to give her life for mine flashes across my mind all of a sudden. I've gone over a lot of things lately, but that's not one of them. Oh, sorry. Well, do you mind if I ask you something? She changes the topic before preparing to bite into her sandwich. You haven't been meeting with Naomi recently, have you? Okay, depending on the inflection, this could be one of two things. This could be, you haven't been meeting with Naomi recently, have you? Or, you haven't been meeting with Naomi recently, have you? Is she disappointed we haven't been, or is she cautious about us doing so? I'm not sure. It is a pretty standard question, but her face looks deadly serious. She's gotten really good at brewing coffee now, so there's no need for me to keep coaching her. Besides, she's busy with culture festival presentations. Something happened between you two, right? Okay, so she is noticing something. I haven't told MIHARU that Naomi was helping me out. That will put unnecessary pressure on them both. And it's why I have no idea how to answer her question. MIHARU persists despite my hesitation, though. There's a stark difference between asking another participant like me for help as opposing to someone uninvolved like her. I mean, maybe. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. You realize how dangerous things could get, and then you decide to put some distance between you, correct? It was the right call. Okay, so she was cautious. Don't ask how I know about this, though. I just need you to understand that I'm not as dense as you when it comes to how people interact with one another. Naomi's attitude has been very different than usual, starting with last week. You could say she looked like she had a true purpose motivating her. I guess I shouldn't have tried to hide it from you. Don't worry about that. I'm aware that you did it with me and Mao in mind. Thanks, MIHARU. But you're right. I made sure that she won't help me out anymore. I'll handle the rest on my own. If only you'd asked me for help. But no. Huh? Wait. Uh-oh. MIHARU casts her eyes over to the entrance and then speaks to me in a whisper. Who's watching? It might be Naomi or Mao, but it might be a person. Is it going to be our elusive number 9? I'm not sure what. Why is everyone calling me? Phone. Go dark. Jeez. Is it going to be the guy who's watching us? MIHARU casts her eyes over to the entrance and then speaks to me in a whisper. We're being watched. I heard a noise coming over from there just now. You sure it's not another student? That wouldn't be an issue. But what if it's not? Yeah, I would err on the side of caution here, Rinka. I mean, bloody hell. The implication is clear. We can't discount the possibility of another participant having them made their way into the school to keep an eye on us. Or is it Sonia? I'll open the door. No, let's open it together. We're best off in the worst case scenario that way. Neither of you can be hurt during divine selection. Let MIHARU pull. She nods and we make our way to the door under the pretense that we're heading back to class. We don't hear any footsteps, so it's likely they're still there. As it turns out, our guess is right on the money. Okay, who is it? It is Sonia. Alright. I had a feeling it might have been. Your sister! My stomach just reached its limit yet again. Well, how are we going to explain this? Yeah, MIHARU just can't wait for that. MIHARU directs her question at me. Well, this'll take a while to explain. This is one of those rare times when I can't help but clasp my hands on top of my head in a panic. I mean, it's not panic-worthy yet. Oh. We're gonna grab lunch at the maid cafe. Rinka, you own a food place. You can just feed her there. You did it yesterday. Sorry, Rinka, but even I have to point out how dumb this situation is. Yeah, I'm well aware. Well, why are you doing it? Wowee! So this is a maid cafe. I've heard much about them. Oh, I see. This is part of the sightseeing tour for the sheltered girl. Sonia wanders around the store, taking in every aspect of it. I suppose this isn't the kind of place you'd find in Russia. Yeah, no kidding. In an ideal world, I wouldn't have come here. Not to say that maid cafes are bad in general, but I don't really like standing out among the predominantly male customer base. Plenty of anime and manga are set in schools, so that seems to have led Sonia to take an interest in what they're really like. Seems she had to enroll in a correspondence school due to her condition, which meant that she never actually had the chance to go to a physical school. As such, going to one was part of being able to see the world at large in her eyes. That's why she snuck into Amaka High to watch what I was doing. I figured she would have been caught doing so, but she gave me this excuse. I trained myself in the art of the ninja, so I have no issues. This otaku freak. She made some wacky hand gestures at the same time. Oh, yeah, you gotta do your hand seals. Apparently they're from an anime that had aired while I was in elementary school. Your kindness is something I should be proud of as your friend, but you're going to do more damage than you think if you finish that sentence. MIHARU was obviously baffled, so I could only give her a timid response. Your friend is calling you out for being an idiot, just like Psymin Sezz. Lunch break ended not long after we discovered Sonya, so we had to get her to lay low somewhere until school was over. On our way back, I explained that I'd let her stay at my place. Extra dumb. Once MIHARU mentioned that she had to go to work, the topic shifted to what MIHARU's job entailed. Sonya's odd impressions about certain parts of Japan had led her to believe that maid cafes represent the country just as much as places like Kiyomizu Temple, so she pretty much forced us to take her here. You don't regret your decision, do you? I don't. In that case, I can still say I'm proud of you. Oh, we might soon. Wait until the end of this video. Sonya makes her way back to our table just as we wrap up our conversation. There are a number of ornaments and notes littering the store, so it's not uncommon for customers to leave their seats. However, it certainly is odd for a girl her age to be wandering around a store like this. That's why all eyes are on us when she returns. Maids are normally in charge of household chores, correct? Why did you become one when you're only in high school? I'm only working here part-time. Also, you won't find the kind of maids you're imagining here in Japan. Come on, no need to crush her dreams. Oh, I see. And here I was thinking you were secretly Magic Girl MIHARU. Wouldn't that be nice? More importantly, how do you know my... Oh, you must have overheard Rinka using... Oh, she is gathering info, you... This is a problem. This is a problem. Why is this girl here? This is a problem. What is this so-called special pancake? She doesn't know our whole... Actually, it doesn't matter if she knows MIHARU's name, because we know MIHARU's name. We don't have her card, so that's still a mystery. What is this so-called special pancake? Yuck, they've got those here? Ugh. Basically, the maid draws something on it and recites a spell to make it taste delicious. Well, that's going to make her want one. A spell? How interesting. I'll have one then. The entire store gasps in horror upon hearing her request. Yeah. Daru is offended. Hold on. Rinka, that menu option doesn't quite fit with my character here, so ideally I'd be able to refuse her request. Not that I blame you. Right? Let's just say that those pancakes aren't particularly good in the first place. Certainly not worth the 5,000 yen price tag. I assume you know why they're so expensive. Moreover, this particular menu exists solely to squeeze more money out of single customers. Yeah, no kidding. I'd rather not have you enable the manager's wicked business tactics. So I don't get any? Unfortunately not, unless you're willing to ask someone other than me. Just then, the manager calls MIHARU over. I guess he noticed our little conversation. Her expression upon returning is an awkward mix of anger and despair. She places a tray with a pancake on our table and then doodles something on it using a chocolate pen. Well, I guess you gotta do it. Manager heard ya. A stuffed animal shaped to look similar to the one Sonya carries. Well, that's cute. Amazing! Look, Pazzer, it's you! Are you gonna cast a spell on it for me next? Close-up of the despair. I need to do this in front of Rinka? Sorry, but I'm gonna curse you for the rest of my life now. Well, look on the bright side, that may not be that long. MIHARU shoots Sonya the most evil glare I've seen from her. It's not the kind of expression you normally show to a child. She then turns to me, looking more serious than I've ever seen her. Here we go. You listening, Rinka? What I'm about to do is only a part of this job, okay? That's why I need you to forget all about it once you leave. We're about to do some Ferris stuff here. She looks ever so tense. Do your cool dance. Show us your dance and your sing-song. Show us your Iris, Tessa, Rainbow Arrow dance. Hearing that causes all sorts of scenarios to run through my head, which leads me to feel embarrassed on her behalf before she even does it. She inhales sharply and lifts her index fingers into the air. It's Magic Girl MIHARU time. Nummy nummy pancake for your tummy. I want to hear that again. That's it? Nummy nummy pancake for your tummy. I want to know what the literal translation for that is. She spins her index fingers in the air a few times before creating the shape of a heart by cupping both hands together, which she then thrusts out toward the pancake. Ah, come on, it wasn't that bad. I have finally borne witness to one of Japan's magical girls at work. Sonya is likely oblivious to the emotions MIHARU was keeping tucked away behind that smile. Instead, she is tickled pink that she's gotten to witness something so rare. Meanwhile, MIHARU hasn't moved an inch after striking her pose. She does all in her power to not make eye contact with me. Meanwhile, I'm just snickering. Oh, that's gonna awaken something. That was really cute. I'll never live this one down. I couldn't bring myself to look her in the eyes when I muttered that either, so MIHARU covers her face in shame and runs off to the back room. Man, she must get paid a lot. Why is your face all red? I feel guilty. I should have tried harder to stop her. Alright, that's a cute moment, but I'm still very suspicious of you, young one. Once Sonya has finished her meal, I make sure to get our bill right away. Yeah, get me the hell out of here. Speaking of the bill, Sonya pays using the credit card she has on her. It's the only reason I let her order in the first place. Oh, you're finally paying for lunch. As we are about to leave, MIHARU returns from the back room. She's back in her school uniform. Yeah, didn't we pay for lunch at Denny's last video? You got a credit card. What the hell? It would seem she's managed to get off early for the day, although I make sure not to ask how or why. I want to look around Akihabara. Oh yeah, you mentioned that. I'm not too familiar with Akihabara, though. Then I'll join you. You're fine with that, aren't you, Rinka? MIHARU comes here often, so we'd be better off having her guide us. Besides, it's not like I trust you yet. I'd rather not leave the two of you alone. I can't call MIHARU out, not even for her harsh tone. While I trust Sonya, I'm still aware of the risks involved in being with her like this. Yeah, we let MIHARU's name slip. That's not cool. Are you taking us then? There's lots and lots I want to see. I am busy! Sonya shows little care for our concerns in that regard. She really is brimming with innocence, isn't she? We'll see about that. Having decided on what to do next, we finally leave the maid cafe. Thank God, Rinka mutters under her breath. Shinjuku Station is packed due to everyone making their way home from work. Is this going to trigger a memory in us? Like, someone's going to find out how we died. The three of us take the Sobu line from Akihabara back to Shinjuku, and then get off so that we can make our respective transfers. I didn't think we'd spend that much time there. It was great! By the time we finish touring Akihabara, I am beat. I usually only ever get off there to make a quick transfer, so I honestly had no idea what it'd be like. I noticed tons of anime and electronics stores while I was walking around. Sonya kept stopping in front of and going into stores that caught her interest, so it's safe to say that she pretty much dragged us wherever she wanted. Your knowledge of Japan's wonderful anime is lacking, sister. What a waste! I used to watch a fair bit when I was younger, but I didn't realize just how much there is. If it were manga, I'd know a bit more, but not as much as you two. You should learn from MIHARU. I make sure to keep up to date thanks to my job. It's easier to please the customers when you can talk about these things with them. That makes sense. When I think about it, I've barely watched any anime at all recently. I've kept myself busy by helping out with the store, and my time's tied up in it even more now that I'm in charge of it. You read a fair amount of shoujo manga, don't you? Yeah, I've borrowed a decent amount from Mao. You may look scary, but deep down you still like girly things. It's one of the best things about her. Hey, shouldn't you be denying that I look scary? I mean, you're the scariest of the three, at least. As we make our way back to the subway entrance, MIHARU follows alongside us. What's going to happen? Which is odd of her, considering she should have gone in the opposite direction at Akihabara to get home. When I decide to ask her why she's tagging along, she answers with a smile. It's simple. I'll be staying over at your place tonight as well. Leaving you and Sophia alone is still a bit too dangerous after all. Sophia. Huh? Tomorrow's a weekday, you know. I can make my way back home early in the morning. That is, after I make sure Sophia doesn't take you out while you're sleeping. Hey now, no need to say it like that. Take her out? Do we need to go somewhere else? I still don't know about you. I'm kind of on MIHARU's side on this one. Maybe you're a bit too young to understand the meaning behind it, but as I said before, I still don't trust you. Aww. She looks sad at first, but then flips right back to her bright expression. I did get to visit a lot of fun places thanks to that. You're taking her somewhere else tomorrow, right? In which case I'll join. Naturally, I'll be staying overnight again too, but don't worry, I'll do what I can not to sour the experience for her, alright? I'm fine with it, but what about your mom? She hesitates before nodding her head and telling me it'll be fine. With that sorted out, we discuss where to go tomorrow as we make our way back. MIHARU never appeared openly hostile towards Sonya today, but you could tell things were a bit awkward. Again, I'm kind of with MIHARU on this. We should not be... Like, we gave Sonya a day. That's more than we could spare. That Salisbury steak was delicious, MIHARU. Sonya feels the need to praise MIHARU for her cooking after we head up to my room after dinner. I've been recording for 30 minutes already? Damn. MIHARU was the one to propose making it on our way home, in all honesty. What's going to happen by the end of this video? It really was. I heard you were a good cook, but that was somehow even better than I expected. It's hard not to improve when you cook on a daily basis. And it was a good opportunity to let you taste my cooking for the first time. Now I can look forward to trying yours. Sure, but don't set your expectations up too high. It's funny, but I cook every day too. Granted, most of the time I buy a number of small meals and mix them together. I usually stick to simple things, so that's probably why I never seem to get any better. Yeah, you can't level your cooking unless you start getting off the gray recipes. As for the food on the Lionhouse menu, I can only make that thanks to my Grand's recipes. Next, we take our respective turns in the bath, and then spend the night watching TV and chatting away. Here we go. Okay, it's Friday. I was kind of wondering what day it was. It's Friday night. What's going to happen? Here we go. What time is it? It's time for something to happen. I can tell it's not morning yet, but for some reason I've woken up. Huh? Something isn't right. And I realize what it is immediately. Neither MIHARU nor Sonya are anywhere in sight. I figure something's up, and then I hear voices coming from downstairs. Fearing the worst, I make my way to the stairs. This isn't the music for the worst. I stop halfway down, though. What is it? Is Odette here? I'm not sure what they're talking about, but MIHARU sounds rather serious. She obviously doesn't want me hearing or knowing what they're talking about if she took Sonya downstairs with her. I realize that listening in on other people's conversations isn't admirable, and yet I can't bring myself to go back to my room. Don't you? Oh, she's wearing our shirt. Yes! I can hear them clearly once MIHARU seems to change the subject. As I thought, something isn't quite right. How so? You called me by name before Rinka ever said it in front of you. That means you already knew it. I asked this already knowing the answer, but you have my name card, don't you? I'm sorry. Why are you apologizing? Because I never told you about having it. You're really throwing me for a loop. MIHARU sighs and massages her brow with her fingers. Okay, so Sonya has MIHARU's name card. Fine, whatever. Just remember this. My name is Mishima MIHARU. Wait a minute. Oh! Okay, so this goes back to what I was saying. I said Sonya couldn't have MIHARU's card, but she does. And now MIHARU is saying, oh, my name is Mishima MIHARU. By which she means, call me Mishima MIHARU. Is MIHARU going to be related to somebody? I mean, this is clearly not her real name, or we'd have her card. Yes, I won't deny that. You're an interesting kid, you know that? MIHARU's name card. Yeah, is Rinka going to come to the same conclusion I did? I know her full name, and yet somehow I don't have it. That can only mean that her real name is something other than what I know her as. Well, it's not too surprising when you consider her circumstances at home. It's also why I've never asked her about it. What happened to her dad? Because she lives with her mom. Why doesn't she live with her dad? Where's her dad? Is her dad going to end up being someone just like absolutely wild and crazy? Like, it's not going to be Alan because they look completely different. It wouldn't be number 5 because he's too damn old. It wouldn't be 9 because he's too damn young. I highly doubt it would be 3. Okay, so it's probably not someone on the clock. We don't know a whole lot of other male characters, so it'll be interesting. I wonder where this... I know you're up there, Rinka. Sister! I cover my mouth by reflex when MIHARU calls my name, despite knowing that it will make a slapping sound. Did you honestly think that I, of all people, wouldn't notice the sound of your breathing? Sorry. No shortage of apologies for me today, huh? I'm not sure how much you heard, but either way, do me a favor and forget about it. And Sophia, sorry for waking you up in the middle of the night. You need as much sleep as you can get, so let's go back upstairs. I get the impression Miharu keeps saying Sophia like it's the Japanese pronunciation by the hiragana. Maybe that's just the way it's pronounced in Russia, because... Wait a minute, Sophia... Didn't we call her Sonia? Yeah, okay. I want to discuss things. Yeah, it's Sonia. That's why I was getting confused. A couple of videos ago, I was like, was it Sonia? Is it Sophia? Alright, well, we're just going to keep calling her Sonia. I want to discuss things with Miharu now that the cat's out of the bag, but we decided it's best to go back to my room after watching Sonia let out a big yawn. Basically, I don't get to find out anything regarding Miharu's name card. I mean, it would be in somewhat poor taste to even ask for it, considering what we've got going on with her. Okay, so when I said Friday night, we meant the night of Friday morning. Now it's Friday. A couple more days till election. Are we going to get it by the end of the video? School ends up flying by somehow. Once classes are over, the three of us meet up at the gate. We couldn't have Sonia infiltrate the school again, so we got her to wander around the university campus instead. Not only is it open to everyone, but there's a library there as well. I'm sure she surprised a few students there, but oh well. Little Russian girl just showing up out of nowhere. However, once we meet up, I realized getting her to do that was a mistake. What did she do? The university here seems like fun. Sonia, her words pierce my heart. Oh, is it because now we feel bad about her knowing what she's going to miss out on? She'll never have the opportunity to attend a university, regardless of Divine Selection's outcome. Even if she were to win somehow, it wouldn't cure her condition, which we still need details on. Whether or not she really would die soon after is unknown, but at the very least, she's convinced herself that it's certain. I also wonder what Alan's doing, because Alan got our name card at the end of last election. And another thing that actually occurred to me when I was reviewing the older videos, I believe it was Odette that actually identified that Alan was the real challenge, like he was the one that they need to worry about. Why are they not going after each other? Why is Odette going after this little girl instead of, you know, Mr. Scorpion? Get him out of here. I mean, they surely have to be gunning for each other because they know that each other is the biggest threat. But no, we're going to go after the little girl because we want to drag out the vignettes as long as possible. Don't beat yourself up, Rinka, right? Right. I'm happy that I got to see something new. Okay, we should get going. There's lots for us to see today. I need to do research. Let me go to the library. I can't wait to see anything and everything. Things seem fine between the two of them. You know what would really help? If we could figure out Odette's information and then vote her out before she votes Sonia out. Because the way the rules work, if two people have an election and you vote someone out before they can vote someone else out, then that other person's vote gets undone. I remember seeing that when I was reviewing the rules. And we're number 1, so we basically have full power there, assuming we can get the 3 cards. I guess they put whatever happened last night behind them. Like MIHARU said, we've got plenty to see today. We make our way toward the station. Are we going to find out MIHARU's name card by the end of this? That's a new background. Friday night. It's hard to sum up all the places we've visited. First was Tokyo Skytree. After that, Sensoji Temple. We make sure to avoid the busy area, but we still got a good look at Kaminarimon. We saw Roppongi Hills from a distance as well. Boy, this game is pushing me here. But before that, we paid a visit to Jinbocho since it serves as the setting for an old anime. Jinbocho? What anime? The Naruto reference was obvious earlier. I don't know what Jinbocho is. Walking from place to place would have been a bit much, so we used a taxi instead. Sonia's parents must be rich, since she paid for everything with her credit card, just like she did at the Maid Cafe. I better not have paid for that Denny's meal then. That helped a lot, especially because we also went to Odaiba. We also went to Odaiba. After getting on the Ferris wheel and seeing the Fuji television building, we had to turn right around to reach our final stop. Said last stop is Shijoji Temple. It's said to be a time-honored temple with ties to the Tokugawa family from the Edo period. That and something about Pure Land Buddhism. Based on what we're seeing here, a lot of bands and artists use the open area for concerts. The area's name and those of its surrounding stations are based on the name of the huge gate at the entrance to the temple, so it goes without saying just how impressive it all is. Look at that Japanese Eiffel Tower back there. It's only 30 or so minutes from the station, and yet I had no idea this place even existed. Ugh, I'm exhausted. Yeah, Tokyo seems like it would be a city you could get lost in very easily. It's like, oh, there's this thing I didn't even know about 3 blocks from this place that I constantly go to. Sounds about right. I figured we'd be fine since we're on our feet most of the time when we're working, but this really has been taxing. Meanwhile, Sonia walks ahead of us as we complain about our aching feet. Wow! Sugoi! Are we going to get trapped? I mean, this has been a... Hey, this is the music I used for the intro. This has been a long play for a setup. So I'm really curious what's going on here and what this little girl is hiding. I didn't forget about that cliffhanger from last video there. She blurts out an exclamation of wonder as she points at Tokyo Tower, visible off in the distance. You can see it clearly past the temple. Its huge red frame is decorated with all sorts of colored lighting. Yeah, it's Japanese Eiffel Tower. Obviously I've seen it before, but seeing it this close and at night is a completely different experience. It's so pretty. Yeah. Tokyo's such a nice place. All 3 of us are entranced by the sight of Tokyo Tower glimmering in the night for a good while. It brings back memories of the parade and light show I saw together with MIHARU at the theme park. Divine Selection wasn't even on my mind back then. Apparently it's not even on your mind now! Never would I have imagined that I'd wind up in a situation like this. I wonder if Sonia is reflecting on her life right now. There is a hint of sorrow on her face as she looks up at Tokyo Tower. Aww. I'm happy I had the opportunity to see something this lovely. I'm so happy that it's making me feel worried. Her eyes water and reflect the light coming from the tower. She raises her gaze higher into the night sky, but it does little to keep the tears from running down her cheeks. This has to be the happiest moment of my life. My first time experiencing the world. And it's also the last. Yeah, is she gonna start having second thoughts and starting to think about how she can survive? We've given her some motivation. The floodgates damming her tears have broken. I understand that feeling all too well. She can't keep up the facade any longer. Her bright smile has been snuffed out by this outburst. It's all over. Today is my last... What? Today? It's technically still Friday. Uh-oh. Is this a hint? Are we getting done in tomorrow? Well, I feel my own eyes starting to water, but I do everything in my power to hold it in. I move to hug her, but MIHARU notices and shakes her head at me. Don't let yourself get too attached. She says this quietly enough so that only I hear it. See, MIHARU is prudent. MIHARU is the smart one. If we do get into trouble, MIHARU is going to be the one to save our dumbasses. I can't stop myself, though. If crying together with her isn't an option, then I want her to know I'm here for her at the very least. There's no doubt she'll crumble in front of reality otherwise. Sonia. Well, sister, papa, mama. I told myself that I accepted my situation, but it's not true. Now that I know the world is full of beautiful things like this, but my time here is running out. Wah. Time slows to a crawl while Sonia lets all her emotions out. The light from the tower reflects off her tears, causing them to shine like precious jewels. Is this a character moment or a setup? I don't trust like that. Rinka. MIHARU starts to say something but stops herself. Once Sonia finally settles down, we make our way back to Lion House. Two more days. Sunday night is when things go down. It's 9 p.m. by the time we get back. Going out to buy stuff for dinner, not to mention making it, would have taken even longer, so we ended up ordering some pizza. Needless to say, the 3 of us wolf it down immediately. Japan's food truly is the best. This reminds me when I used to criticize Danganronpa, because you have this death game, but then you also have people, building social scores and giving gifts and, getting to know each other better. It's like, that would not happen. In fact, the only time that Danganronpa was accurate in that regard was Danganronpa 3, the anime, because everyone broke off into factions and were immediately suspicious of each other. That's what would happen. Instead, we're getting this nonsense, where it's like, yeah, you want to grab a pizza together? Sure, why not? Come on, I know for a fact that you can get pizza delivered in Russia as well. I always had to watch what I ate before this. That's why I'm happy I can eat whatever I want now. Her tone may be cheery, but there's a certain weight hidden behind each and every word. MIHARU manages to keep things from becoming awkward, though. Actually, this is the first time I think we've seen MIHARU sitting at our table. We've seen Naomi and Mao. We've seen Naomi a lot. We even saw Keiko. I think this is the first time MIHARU's actually sat down with us. I'm a bit upset you didn't cook, to be honest. We have to be mindful of the time. Besides, I don't think I've had pizza delivered since I was a kid. Well, I can't imagine you'd have much opportunity to do so while living with your grandmother. Yeah, she was never big on getting stuff delivered in the first place, except some soba now and then. She's not against pizza itself, considering she made it here every so often. In fact, she'd eat pretty much anything, to the point where she'd always go on about how not being fussy about food is the secret behind her being so healthy. She really is healthy for her age, too. She really enjoys bragging about still having all her teeth intact. I see you take after her in that regard. Yeah, I must. Your grandmother must be a wonderful person. Is Sonia going to let MIHARU's name slip somehow? Is that what's going to happen? She's the one who raised Rinka, so you're right about that. So says MIHARU, who I'm pretty sure hasn't actually met my gran. There is plenty to talk about while we eat our dinner. The topics often revolve around Sonia's family. Her grandmother in particular sounds like a nice person, and she's apparently good at sewing. She's the one who made Pas-Azur for Sonia. I never had any friends, so my grandmother gave Pas-Azur to me so I wouldn't be lonely while reading books and watching anime. It had the chance to see the world along with me today, so I'm sure it's as happy as I am. Is she going to leave it with us? A heavy yawn erupts from Sonia after that, almost as if to lighten the mood. Now that I've eaten, I'm starting to feel sleepy. We did a lot of walking today, so get some rest, okay? Okay, good night. Saying that, she makes her way upstairs. MIHARU and I are now alone together downstairs. MIHARU ends up being the one to strike up a conversation while we tidy everything up. I didn't notice anyone following us, so number 11 certainly seems to be confident, whimsical even. I could tell MIHARU was on edge the entire day, mainly because I was the same way when I first met Sonia. It's not far-fetched to assume that one person would keep an eye on her parents and the other would watch Sonia, since two participants are working together. In that case, number 3, Federico, would probably watch her parents, while number 11 would be in charge of Sonia because she's the one holding her cards. I understand why she'd feel confident when she's got all 3 of Sonia's cards, but what makes you call her whimsical? From what I gather, she really wanted Sonia to enjoy her final few days here. If she really wanted to make sure that Sonia wouldn't work with her parents to dig up info on them, then she'd probably prevent them from meeting up, even on the final day. That should go without saying. And yet she granted Sonia the opportunity to be with her family. It makes her seem compassionate at a glance, but there's more to it than that. In truth, she didn't place the shackles on Sonia. She tied the hands of her parents. I'm not sure I follow. Well, there's no guarantee that Sophia's parents believe her regarding divine selection. They might have brought her here under the false assumption that she's made a temporary recovery. In that case, they'd never let her have fatty foods like pizza. Bear in mind that I'm talking from an objective standpoint here, not my personal opinion regarding pizza. I don't think she would have been able to see the world like she wanted had she stayed with her parents. Do you understand where I'm going with this yet? I think back to Sonia's comments about having the freedom to eat what she likes. Pointing that out must mean she previously didn't have that freedom. Sonia's definition of seeing the world at large differs from ours, and number 11's actions enables her to fulfill that one desire. Of course, I doubt she expected Sophia to run into us. Even then, the desire for her to minimize that regret is definitely there. 2 or 3 days likely isn't enough for her to completely remove her regret, but I think it's safe to say that her tears tonight would have held a completely different meaning had she been with her parents. I see. That makes sense. Not sure I can say this was the correct option, but at the very least, Sonia seems to have been happy from the bottom of her heart. This may serve as an important foundation when it comes to learning more about number 11, too. That's not the main point of this discussion, though. Instead, I want you to consider joining forces with me for the remainder of Divine Selection. There we go. See, we're starting to make some actions, some decisions. She stares deep into my eyes. I love making people do that. It takes a while, but she finally comes out with a proposition that feels long overdue. I stare right back, unable to say anything in response. My brain completely shuts down. I honestly have no idea what to say. I can hear the sound of her breathing. Noticing that her nerves are building with each and every breath, I finally answer. I'm sorry, but I can't. You have every intention of making me this final survivor, don't you? I do, but you need to realize that I'd be doing it for my own sake as well. That doesn't change anything. It's not fair to partner up with you when I haven't resolved to do the same for your sake. I still can't decide which one of us deserves to live through this. She said that a little bit louder than I said it. I probably should have put a little more energy into that. There's no way I'd be fine with letting one of my closest friends give their life away. And yet I don't want to die without knowing my own regret. Without knowing why I got wrapped up in all of this to begin with. So long as I've got stuff like that on my mind, I'll only hold you back in the end. There's no doubt I'll face situations similar to when I confronted Alan at the hospital again. I'm sure my resolve will take a hit again when that time comes. Yeah, Naomi was a big help to us there. Your regret, huh? MIHARU trails off. Do you know it? Do you have that card? There's no need for her to speak when her expression screams the complicated thoughts she's having. The silence doesn't last too long, however. I'm fairly sure that you should have an idea about my cause of death. I'm also sure that you'd be appalled by it, too. We don't have any idea about your cause of death, lady. That's what you're saying, right? I'm fairly sure that you should have an idea about my cause of death. Nope. It's fine, though. I'm okay with maintaining the status quo, even if my stance on the matter hasn't changed. My fate exists for your sake, so I'll simply wait for the day when you finally clear up your own personal doubts. Why are you so desperate to give your life for mine? Surely you have your own regret to care about. You do have your own cards, don't you? Ah, here comes the confession. The full confession. It's because I love you. Love? Her exclamation throws me off at first, but naturally she must mean in a friendly way. Of course, naturally. Yeah, of course. That's what she means, of course. Anyway, we should get some sleep ourselves. You plan on seeing Sophia off tomorrow, don't you? Yeah, I do. I know she's the type of person to use suggestive lines to mask her actual feelings. It doesn't stop me from getting all flustered, though. Maybe because there's the off chance that she means it. Oh, I think she means it. In that case, I'd have no idea how to handle the situation. That makes it even worse. She's been trying to confess to you since Golden Week. Getting to sleep is no easy task after going back to my room. Are we going to go all the way to election? This might be a longer episode. I may have to make it a longer episode because I rambled for 10 minutes at the beginning of it. There's way too much on my mind. Lingering in my head is the most is what MIHARU said, that I should have an idea about her cause of death. Yeah, where did that come from? I should have an idea about her cause of death? I didn't outright deny her claim because, well, it's true. What? Was she following us on the train? I'd just been desperately trying to avoid thinking about it because I don't want to see my thoughts regarding my friend's death get turned into a card. Okay, I literally opened this video with saying I reviewed the game up until this point. Is the game going to make me look stupid now? Did the game mention something that I should be remembering, but I don't? There's one thing I can say for sure regardless. There's no way I'd ever think less of you over it. There's no way I'd ever think less of you over it? Seems she's fast asleep already, judging by her breathing. Can't help but be impressed by how good she looks, even while sleeping. I mean, she's a looker. She's a hottie. It's hard not to notice the scar on her wrist peeking out from under her sleeve. Oh, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. I know she's having a rough time at home. Is that going to end up being her regret that she didn't confess to us before she died? Aww. I don't need that game. I don't need that. Woke up. Oh, look, I have a card. It's Sunday. What happened? Where'd Saturday go? Was it yesterday Friday? I'm pretty sure yesterday was Friday. Huh. I'm going to have to go back and look that over. I brew some coffee for both Sonia and MIHARU once morning comes around. Sonia doesn't want to drink hers black, so I make sure to put some milk and sugar in. Yeah, I can imagine that. Oh, hey! Miharu's got another outfit on. I love it when they change outfits. It's so nice to play a visual novel where everyone doesn't just have, 10 copies of the same outfit. This was my first time drinking coffee. It was delicious. Well, she's going to be hyper all day. It's been a while since I had some coffee here. The taste seems to have changed too. Well, it was my grandmother who made it last time, so that's not a surprise to hear. I seem to be wearing something different as well. That's not it. I was implying that I've changed. I can tell that it's your coffee based on the fragrance alone. My coffee, huh? I suppose I have been making slight changes to the way I prepare it for a while. That doesn't matter right now, though. Rather, I can't help but lose myself as I stare at MIHARU basking in the morning glow while enjoying her coffee. It causes me to recall her comment from last night, which forces me to avert my eyes. Sonia is staring at her too. I'm not sure if she noticed me doing so and followed suit, but she eventually smiles and speaks up. Oh hell. I have a request for the both of you. Enough with your requests, child. Oh. Okay, well, I called that. I'm not sure that's going to work, though. I have a feeling it's going to disappear. I'd like to leave Passazur with you. Yeah, we are wearing something different, I think. Huh? But it's an important gift from your grandmother, isn't it? Passazur. It's Russian for traveler, isn't it? Wow, you understand my home language? I'm impressed. Maybe she has her book. The name must represent your desire to go out and see the world. Whoops, wrong voice. A pang of sadness hits me as I remember Keiko's belief regarding the meaning behind one's name, although I do my best to hide it behind a smile. What is it you want us to do with it? I want you to show it to the world in my place. She holds her closest friend out to MIHARU with that beaming smile of hers. There's no point in handing it over to me. This is a request for the both of you. Well, we both can't make it, so... She leaves Passazur on the table at which MIHARU is sitting and prepares to continue the request. MIHARU unconsciously strokes its head with her finger. At least I assume it's unconscious of her, since she retracts her finger the moment she realizes what she's doing. Would you mind listening to what I have to say? What's going to happen? Something was implied at the end of last video, and I want to know what it is before this one ends. The goddess said that originally all 12 of us were supposed to have gathered in the same place, 12 weeks from the beginning of divine selection. Oh, what's this? Okay, hang on. I want to pay attention to this. The goddess said that originally all 12 of us were supposed to have gathered in the same place 12 weeks from the beginning of divine selection. In reality, my parents planned to take me on a trip if my condition didn't get any worse. They'd even decided on bringing me to Tokyo. This could be interesting. Fate changed its course and your condition grew worse. Still, that means you were originally supposed to come here. Yes, fate changed its course by having me die before we could take the trip. The important part here is that fate can change. If it can do so for the worst, then it can also do so for the best. The goddess said that fate will allow only one of us to make it to the end, but if fate is something that can change on a whim, then... I'm going to be honest, I was saying before that I was going over stuff in my mind. There's a few scenarios where more than one person can survive. I'm thinking like a situation where two of us, at the end, have each other's 3 cards. What happens then? What if we end up with a situation where a bunch of us just get together like this and we all trade cards and we all show up and we're like, we all have each other's cards. What happens now? Maybe this is a test where we could have all survived and we just didn't. I don't know. A lot could be going on, but I like that Sonia is bringing this up because I'm curious. I want to hear the possibilities. It's possible that it can be altered to let both of you make it through together. It may be too late for me, but I believe that you two will show even more of the world to Passazur. Together. That's going to be an ending. You think it's possible to change fate? It's not. Even if we could, all that would change is which one of us makes it through. And believe me, it won't be anyone other than Rinka so long as I'm around. Don't forget that it's the same goddess's rules that are keeping us alive right now. That's true, but still, I won't take my request back. Sonia speaks with enough confidence to refute MIHARU's denial. I have a feeling she's going to be right. There's going to be a sad ending where she's right. The look in her eyes tells me that she is convinced by her own words, too. Selfish until the very end, aren't we? This is my final will, so yes. I see. I won't make any promises, but let me ask you, Rinka. Are you willing to carry out her request? Yeah. I nod firmly to reinforce my response. This is probably the only thing I can do for her now. In that case, I'll be on my way. Thank you for giving me some of your precious time. Sure, take care. We could have figured out Alan's cards, but no, we had to babysit this kid for a week. Half a week. Sonia, I promise I won't forget about the fun time we spent together. Being with you two made me very happy too. Uh-oh, I should leave before it gets too hard for me to do so. Alright, farewell! She bows deeply before leaving. I watch her sink down into the horizon from the store window. Off she goes. I am too caught up in my own thoughts to properly register what MIHARU says. Let's see if we can get through this week's election before we close the video, because I have a feeling... I keep saying I have a feeling stuff's going to go down and then nothing goes down. But come on, something's got to go down at some point, game. Nothing can change the fact that Sonia is going to be eliminated tonight, pretty much. When I think about it, I only have 2 of her cards. I don't even have the option of triggering a simultaneous election like I did with Keiko. Yeah, I'm still curious about that. The particulars of her illness are going to be a twist. Granted, even if I did, it'd be nothing more than a temporary measure to console myself. But, seeing her walk off on her own like that is too much. Rinka? Oh, what are you going to do? Before I catch myself, I lose my composure, and the tears pouring down my face are proof of that. This right here is why I called the situation dumb when I first learned about it. You said you didn't regret your decision, though. Does that hold true even now? I can't compose myself to respond verbally, so I have to nod in response. And this right here is exactly why I love you. She sits down next to me after saying that. The moment our shoulders touch, I turn and cling onto her. She stays by my side the entire time I cry. I mean, it is sad, and a friggin' 10-year-old girl's gonna get snuffed. I think she's 10. I don't remember if she actually mentioned her age or if I've just clung on to the fact that she's 10. She's probably younger. After a glass of cold water, I manage to calm myself down. Meanwhile, MIHARU gets ready to leave because she has to go to work. I'll see you after school tomorrow. Yeah, sorry for crying so much. Today reminded me how weak I am in comparison to you. You may not realize it yourself, but I'd say you're far stronger than me. I deny her claim with a shake of my head as she smiles at me. We're not even halfway through Divine Selection. Remember that I'll be waiting for you once you clear up your own doubts. Something may happen that clears up her doubts tonight. I hope something happens that clears up her doubts tonight. Thanks. I'd appreciate it if you showed the same concern for yourself, though. Right back at you. Oh, and I said I'd see you at school tomorrow, but I guess we'll see each other in the dream world before then. Hey, that's not a very funny joke. I'll see you later. Yeah. That said, she turns and makes her way out. I should be used to being alone here, yet it somehow feels a lot more quiet than before. I just realized something. If Odette eliminates Sonia tonight, Odette's going to almost certainly pick MIHARU's name card, isn't she? Odette's going to find out MIHARU's actual name. And that's going to mean she gets targeted, and Rinka's going to be like, oh, hell nah. I was saying before that major characters, they got to come into play at this at some point. If Odette targets MIHARU because she gets her name card from Sonia, that's going to be an issue. It wasn't long ago that the 3 of us were talking and laughing together. It's already almost afternoon, but I decide to open the store up. Go to the library! Do research! I also decide to give my gran a call later on in the evening. Well, let's go to the Court of Fate, because we have completely wasted our week and we got nothing. Yep. Are we going to end up with another point of view character? Good evening, my lovely little slaves to fate. Odette, you're going to off a kid. Come on. And thus, tonight's session begins. It's not like the kid is going to gather cards on us. I mean, what's she got? Parka's graceful voice rings throughout the court. I really can't fathom what's going through her mind. For what purpose does she divulge the intricacies of fate to us? What drove her to begin Divine Selection in the first place? That's something else I was theory crafting between videos. Is she doing this for amusement? Is she doing this because there's a purpose behind it? Is she doing this for a sinister purpose? And what the hell happened to the effeminate dude that we only saw in episode 1? He showed up in the first video for all of 2 minutes, and then gonzo. What drove her to begin Divine Selection in the first place? My, aren't we a gloomy bunch? I refused to even consider her motivation before now, because I saw her as some ethereal being completely removed from the logic of humans. But now I find it hard not to remember what Sonya said. Fate can be changed. Again, is there another game being played here? The idea of being able to alter the very events of this ritual had never even come to mind. Hey, she laid down those rules for a reason. Come, why not lighten the mood and engage me in some riveting discussion? Yeah, Alan is not down for that on any circumstances. Cut the crap and get on with it. I have like 3 people to elect, lady. Alan's curt response serves as his attempt to hurry things along. I wonder where he is in the real world. I stopped researching him after meeting Sonya. Yes, you did. And you are dumb for doing so. You're often in quite the rush, aren't you? Is there any particular reason for this? I'm not one for pointless chit-chat. Besides, you're supposed to be a neutral party. Do you not consider the possibility that other participants could benefit from my talking to you? Surely you wouldn't be pleased with your own actions if they gave others an unfair advantage, would you? Goodness, did something happen to my memory? I certainly don't recall making any claims about being a neutral party, nor the divine selection will be conducted in a fair manner. Exactly. No, this... Who said she's neutral? Who said she's fair? You're just here on a clock. That's all you know. Oh, hold on. That ain't right. I need to find his voice again. Yeah, see? We gotta get back to the gangsta, see? Hold on. That ain't right. Federico Carminati is the next to chime in. Actually, this might be the first time I've heard him speak. Now that he's got my attention, I realize that he might actually be the tallest one here, and he's pretty stylish to boot. Look better without the piercings. The suit he's wearing looks great on him. I wouldn't blame anyone if they confused him for a model. I sure as hell ain't fine with the idea of this whole thing being rigged when it's my life on the line. Christ, this guy. Oh my! Is something the matter, number 3? Number 11's reaction to Federico's outburst. No, numeral 11 reacts to Federico's outburst, which causes MIHARU to shoot me a quick glance. Looks like those two really are working together, as of course we knew. Hell, this whole thing's been unfair ever since the cards were distributed at the beginning. 2 of the cards I got belong to people that guy's already eliminated. He points toward Alan as he states his concerns. So it's safe to say that you only have 1 card of value remaining from your initial lot then. Well, what the hell have you been doing for the last 3 or 4 weeks? Come on, Federico, you've been doing research on stuff. Surely you have Sonya's cards. Feel free to voice your issues regarding the system itself, but only a fool would lay information like that out in the open. I'm gonna make you regret it if you keep running that mouth, asshole. Why are these guys not going at each other? Surely. Odette and Alan, at least. I have no issue with the current system, so I'd prefer if you sped things along. Because I'm winning. Very well. I assume you're fine with it too. She turns to face Federico. He refuses to comply, raising his voice in a panic instead. Well, just a second here, see? All the rest of you are fine with this? He directs his question outward to the remaining participants, his arms spread wide. 9! Speak up. Show your face. No one responds to him, though. Well, never mind then. Not even number 11, his partner. There's your answer. They may have their own issues, but they're all united in not making a scene and embarrassing themselves like you have. What's more, they'd much prefer not to make their own incompetence known to others, like you have. I won't let you forget this, punk. Don't worry, I have no intention of forgetting it until you've been eliminated. Parka ends up being the one to interrupt their argument with a sigh. Really now, can you not save your argument for the real world? Assuming you meet there, of course. Following that, she makes her way to the center of the court. Alright, are we just going to have another 3 in, you're out, or is there going to be something that, is someone going to yell objection, Ace Attorney style? Regardless, allow me to begin tonight's election. We'll finish we've been going for a while, but I did talk for 10 minutes at the beginning, so let's make this a longer one. Revolve, O clock of fate. Once again, it's time for us to decide whether or not we want to elect someone. Should things proceed as Sonya believes, number 11 will elect number 10 tonight. I grip my teeth at the inevitable and announce that I won't be electing anyone. Up next is MIHARU, who will likely say the same, does she not? This is the 4th election, and it's safe to say there's a solid split between how each of us are approaching the situation. Some have opted to go all out with info gathering, while others are choosing to sit back and let the situation unfold. And by let the situation unfold, they mean get booted and die. The fact that numerals 11 and 12 are the only ones to elect anyone yet is proof of that. We're not past MIHARU yet. What's she gonna do? My turn then. In that case, I'll be electing you, number 10. Aha! There's the turnabout. Nani? Oh! Oh, interesting. Is this to keep her name out of Odette's hand? I speculated about that earlier. Oh, that's a strategy. Curious. How does MIHARU know her cards, though? We don't even know her illness. How does MIHARU know it? They were chatting before. What the F? Oh ho, a first-timer will be taking the plunge. Very well. Allow me to question the remaining participants first. Why? I guess because has this happened before? Usually it doesn't have to happen because 11 and 12 have been the only ones doing the voting, but now it's like number 2 is doing something. Do we need to poll the rest of the clock before this proceeds? I can't hide my surprise. That's not good because it could act as a hint to others, as it's known by this point that we're acquainted. But that isn't enough to stop me from acting out. Shut your mouth. Meanwhile, Sonya seems unfazed by MIHARU's election. Don't tell me, did they plan this from the beginning? That was probably what they were talking about that one night. Their conversation that night wasn't just about Sonya having MIHARU's name card, but this as well? Well, again, this keeps MIHARU's name out of other people's hands. And whatever card MIHARU gets, at least we know it won't get used against us. At least MIHARU is working with us, so this is probably preferable to Odette. Oh, is Odette going to challenge this? Oh, is it finally going to get spicy? As I'm mulling it over, the clock hand eventually revolves around to numeral 11. Okay, so asking the rest of the clock how they feel about it was just the usual taking turns. Yeah, I've got an election all right. Same as that broad over there. I'm going for numeral 10. Oh, here we go. Finally something happens in this frickin' game. She points to Sonya. It's obvious that she hadn't anticipated this scenario. She doesn't seem bent out of shape, though. She looks more like she's enjoying this turn of events, much like a predator would as it bares its fangs toward its prey. Numeral 11 knows that Sonya holds her name card. Numeral 11 knows that Sonya holds her name card. Does Sonya have her name card? She has MIHARU's name card. If MIHARU eliminates Sonya, then it's possible that she could end up with said card. Naturally, this is something numeral 11 would want to avoid. Yeah, but you gotta reveal a personal card, or some kind of card, in order to contest this anyway, right? I thought it was a personal card. Maybe it's not a personal card? I'm pretty sure it was a personal card. I mean, what's better, MIHARU getting your name, or everybody getting your name? The same likely applies to MIHARU. Oh, this is interesting. So Sonya having both names... Oh, makes her an interesting chess piece. I hadn't thought about that. That's why they're both aiming to have Sonya's election called off. Oh, they can call it off? It wouldn't make sense for them to put one of their own cards out there to protect another. Oh, I forget that rule. If they refuse to put their cards forward, does Sonya just get to not get elected tonight? Interesting. So, yeah, let's cover this again. So what was in your script for when this kind of situation comes about? We ascertain whether or not you wish to obtain election priority, which requires that one of you reveal a personal card to the other participants. Okay, so I was right. You're not just revealing a card, you're revealing a personal card. Do you wish to obtain election priority, which requires you revealing a personal card to the other participants? Whoever does so first will be at a disadvantage, so do make your intentions known at the same time. Should you wish to obtain priority, then by all means, present me with one of your personal cards. Exactly, yeah. Ain't too fussed about fair or unfair. Gotta make it clear that I'm not interested in doing that. So the decision's all yours, girly. Come now, number 11. I would much appreciate it if you would abide by my proposed rules. Your stance on the matter, numeral 2? I keep saying number instead of numeral. Numeral is just a weird word. Parker turns to face MIHARU, speaking in a slow and soft tone. If the challenge is gone, does MIHARU get to just elect her anyway? No, she would have to sacrifice a card, because there's no way Odette would just let MIHARU have her name. MIHARU nods in response, opening her card book. Oh, damn! She produces one card from it. Are we going to get to know her name? Her real name... I mean, the regret's the hardest thing to come by, but the real name in her case might be hardest to come by because we only know her as MIHARU, whatever the heck her name is. Oh, crap. Here we go. I'll reveal my name card to the rest of the participants. Now that I have the right to do so, numeral 10, I elect you. Sonya remains unfazed by this turn of events. Her expression seems forlorn, but that's been true ever since Divine Selection began. Meanwhile, numeral 11 has stopped smiling. She gives MIHARU a vitriolic glare instead. Yeah, no kidding. She's abandoned her own name. Well, no denying that she's an interesting one. Very well. Yeah, now the major players are starting to make moves. This is what I said I wanted at the beginning of the video. Yeah, let's have it. Well, with that decided, numeral 2 and numeral 10, allow me to begin the election procedure. Rinka has been quiet for a lot of this. I'm surprised. I guess she wants to keep her mouth shut to not endanger MIHARU, but still. What's MIHARU's name gonna be? A familiar tremor accompanies her statement. Shortly after, MIHARU's and Sonya's platforms ascend to the upper stratum. I guess revealing the name isn't that bad because almost everyone knows everyone else's names anyway, so she's just kind of putting herself on even footing. The regret and the cause of death are going to be the hardest ones. Unfortunately, we can take a stab at MIHARU's cause of death now, which is unfortunate. Mostly because the cause of her death is unfortunate. But her regret, well, we can also guess her regret too. Rinka can at least. MIHARU and Sonya face one another in the upper stratum of the Court of Fate. Neither looks too happy about what will soon take place. This is interesting. Because, yeah, Alan and Odette have voted people out to win. MIHARU is doing this to keep someone else from doing it. For strategy. She doesn't want to do this either, but she has to. Interesting. Regardless, they make sure to maintain eye contact. Thank you, MIHARU. I'm the one that should be thanking you. I certainly never expected such a proposal from you, but your decision is the right one. So she suggested it. Neat. Yes, I knew that Sister wouldn't be able to find it in her to do this. Oh, she wanted Rinka to do this. I've already settled on giving my life for Rinka, so stealing myself for events like this is an easy feat. Good evening once again. Parka appears out of nowhere as usual. As usual, not in a parka, offering them both a welcoming smile. MIHARU looks more than displeased by her presence. I see you two are already acquainted. What's more, you don't seem hostile to one another like the other participants have been. Now here's something else. One of the things that happened during election is there's been this comment, and again, the game keeps putting this information out, and I expect it to mean something, that the light above this area keeps getting thicker and brighter every time there's an election. And I wonder if that's going to what if it doesn't? After this election, is that going to mean something because there's no hostility? Does that factor in? Like these supernatural games, they always have weird rule sets, right? Like what's Parka's motive here? What's happening as a result of this? What's she getting out of it? And does she not get something out of it this time? The only hostility present here right now is being directed toward Parka herself. MIHARU makes her desire to not engage with Parka clear by changing the subject. So what do I do now? Choose the 3 cards that correspond to numeral 10 and read their contents aloud to me. Right. Here we go. MIHARU's cards emerge from her book and float in the air in front of her. She plucks 3 cards from them. I want to hear what the illness is. Her name is Sofia Presenets Alexevievna. I won't go into detail, but her cause of death was from... I won't go into detail. Why not? There's still that cliffhanger from the end of the video. If Sonya dies here, how does that come into play? Does her death maybe undo something? That would be neat too. Her cause of death was from illness. Do you not have that card? You better not be bluffing. Sophia, I still can't make any promises regarding your request, but Rinka said she's willing to carry it out. That being the case, I'll do everything I can to help her. Just remember that my priority is to ensure that she makes it through to the end. I'm aware of this. I can still say with all my confidence that meeting both of you brought me more happiness than I'd ever experienced before. Please take care of Pasazura for me. We will. Miharu casts her eyes back down to her cards. I want to know the illness! A few moments later, she closes her eyes and recites the contents of the third card. Her regret was not having the freedom to see the world at large. But she got the freedom. It kind of reminds me of Keiko. Her regret was sort of undone, even if she didn't know about it. Is that going to factor in? There's so much stuff going on here. I'm really curious to see how this ties together. All three cards begin to move on their own in response. I wonder if this is some sort of lesson from the gods or something about living your life without regrets. I actually kind of wonder if this is something that occurred to me between videos too. I wonder if Rinka's card says no regrets, because we were there during her death. When Ro died, he thought of his dog. When Keiko died, she thought of her baby's name. When Rinka died, all she could think about was that Naomi was safe. Is that going to be the case? Or was I right in one of my earlier ramblings where her regret may change depending on our choices? All three cards begin to move on their own in response. We get to see how Sophia died, too. Once they reach the middle of the Court of Fate, they come together and form a triangular shape. Good, but I'm not fond of goodbyes. I'd much prefer you to pray for myself and Rinka's happiness. Okay. She takes a deep breath before clasping her hands together and offering up a prayer. May Rinka and Miharu find joy in their future. Thank you, Sophia. I'll never forget you. May your soul rest in peace. The light from Miharu's cards grows stronger and brighter until it engulfs the entire area. Miharu makes sure to keep her eye on Sonia's tear-stained face, no matter how blinding the light grows. Well, now you get to be Sophia. Feelings of regret and emptiness begin to flow into her. She finds herself laying on Sophia's bed in her room. This looks strangely like the bed or the ceiling that Keiko was looking at. In the same angle. The doctors rush in as her parents look on, praying for her safety. The girl reflected upon her life as her breathing grew even more pained. The ceiling of this room was perhaps the most viewed scenery she'd witnessed throughout her life. She could only ever experience the outside world through a book or a monitor, which is why she read so much anime. I'm imagining she's like Undyne. Anime is real, right? Freedom remains a foreign concept. Just how much time did she spend imagining the wonders that would come with attaining such a thing? In the end, her life was nothing but dull. Dull to the point where she spent her final moments contemplating her reality, and how it compared to the vast world she'd so longed to experience. That's the regret, that's the death. Goodbye, Sonia. You have to be rotten to the core to make us experience the last moments of those we eliminate. Ah, she's mouthing off to the goddess. Miharu, she's not having this. Unfortunately, I had no say in the matter. Do not forget that this is a ritual. Again, who does have the say? Where's the effeminate dude? Your election tonight has forcefully reverted the fate of that young girl back to its original course. The Court of Fate exists to carry out that ritual. Alas, nothing can be done about each participant being affected by the aftermath of their own actions. Wait a minute. You mean to tell me that you had no say in the matter, despite the ritual being named Divine Selection? Is there a force involved here that even you cannot control? Yeah, Miharu was fishing for rules and specifics during the first night we were here too. Rather than receive an answer, Miharu's platform begins its descent. Yeah, I'm still fishy about what's going on here. I'm not sure we can do much about it, but I wonder. Returns to the lower stratum. I'm not terribly fond of needless curiosities, as she addresses the player. Parka utters her words only after Miharu has gone far enough away. Looking straight at us. Is she going to end up breaking the fourth wall? Is that what's going to happen? Are we the ones in charge because we're the one playing the damn game? Hey, come on, game. You've given me like 7 choices since this thing happened. I've been playing for 6 hours. Numeral 11 comes down instead of Odette this time. Numeral 2. That's not an 11, Psy'Min. That's a 2. Numeral 2 comes down instead of Odette this time. Who is saying numeral 11 and who is saying Odette? Rinka would not be thinking numeral 2. MIHARU is not 11. Odette is 11. It's been obvious that her and numeral 1 know each other ever since this whole thing started. I also figure they aren't at odds with each other, which means they're likely working together like me and Odette. So this is Federico's perspective we're getting now. Damn, did tonight ever take me by surprise. We need to hear the name. I'm not in any of this video until we hear the name. I was sure she'd back down once Odette said she would. Odette's obviously going to prioritize protecting her own information over eliminating Sophia. Even if the chance of me cooperating with Sophia existed. It was... What? Hang on. Even if the chance of me cooperating with Sophia existed, it was still a lot less dangerous for Odette to get a hold of the information Sophia had than another participant. Chance of Federico cooperating with Sophia? Did that actually happen, or was Odette worried about it? Odette's point in ignoring what Parka said was to make it clear that there's no need for numeral 2 to reveal one of her cards. Odette's point in ignoring what Parka said was to make it clear that there's no need for numeral 2 to reveal one of her cards. Oh, I see, from before. So there was no need for numeral 2 to reveal one of her cards, but she did anyway. But she went and gave up her name card anyway. Yeah, it sure is throwing me for a loop. Gotta say that numeral 1 sure is a little runt compared to numeral 2. I assume they're both Asian, but boy does numeral 2 have the right glamour and proportions. I figured she'd get eliminated pretty quick, but she went ahead and surprised me. That's a woman after my own heart. The best women are the gutsy ones, definitely. Not counting freaks of nature like Odette, of course. Which card would you like to obtain? 11's name? She poses the all-important question in numeral 2. No doubt she's gunning for Odette's card. Oh, is she going to surprise us? What? Why would you ask for that? I'll take numeral 1's cause of death. Sonia had that? Why are we getting that for Rinka's sake? I mean, Odette's name would be much more useful. Oh, that's gonna... This and her actual name are gonna cause a ripple. We're gonna end this this video on some good stuff. Next video is gonna be very interesting. She betrays my expectations yet again. Rinka, can we get a reaction? There it is. What? What's going on? She had that all along? Doesn't look like anyone's more surprised by this turn of events than numeral 1 herself. You know, I was talking before about how we have to be worried about other people having that info. You know, we could have just let that get destroyed. We could have just noted that it existed and said, well, poof, give me Odette's name. Interesting. I'd like to hear... there is a rationale for this, but I'd like to hear how MIHARU's going to spin that. I'm sure we'll get it later. Doesn't look like anyone's more surprised by this turn of events than numeral 1 herself. Can't blame her. Out of all the cards numeral 2 could have picked, she went with one belonging to the person she's working together with. Why do you satisfy your urge to keep talking? Understand that the situation you're in requires being silent above all else. Yeah, shut up, Rinka. Numeral 2 slaps her with a frigid verbal warning. But still, like, you... What's up with the card you took? Is she trying to give the impression that they're not working together? She wants to give the entire clock just kind of the impression that... Okay, that could be a thing. Numeral 1 is obviously taken aback, but it does cause her to keep quiet. Interesting. Again, I want to hear this rationale. Now that your election is over, I'd like you to hand me the personal card of your choosing in exchange for obtaining the right to eliminate numeral 10. I assume this is fine. Parka approaches her and is handed a card. My card book begins to shine immediately after. It's just granted to us. What is it? What the hell name is that? I don't think we've seen that name before. Hebinata. Hebinata MIHARU. Hebinata. Miharu Habanada, huh? I guess we all know this information now, so we can just call you that name and quit with the twos. MIHARU is pretty easy for me to pronounce. Guess this explains the procedure for revealing your card to the others. Feels more... Oh, this is him. Guess that explains the procedure for revealing your card to the others. Feels more fitting to say that. Everyone simply obtains it. The others check their card books as well. Why, MIHARU? Shut up! I have nothing more to say to you at the moment. Numeral 1 was surprised over obtaining her card too. That means MIHARU never revealed her real name. Safe to say what's going on here at this point, if you ask me. Their relationship's done for. Again, this is the impression that I think MIHARU wants to give. Tonight's session resulted in 1 elimination. I bid you all farewell for now. So that's a play. So MIHARU, if that's the motivation, she kind of achieves 2 things. Number 1, she gets Rinka's cause of death, which makes it look like she's turning on her, but also it shows that Rinka never had MIHARU's name card in the first place, which also kind of goes as evidence to a rift to everyone else. So I guess MIHARU is doing this as a show. And also maybe to get Rinka to get over her fears and apprehensions, because she was like, oh, well, I'll just wait for you to change your mind and let us work together. Meanwhile, she's like, oh, I'm making some moves tonight, baby. I still want to know what that name means. Like, I get that's an interesting play to make to reveal the name. It's it creates an interesting situation like I just mentioned. But I'm also curious if the name has a deeper meaning or if it's just that. If it is just that, that will be a surprise. I didn't see that coming, but I also wonder if there's something more. Parka brings an end to tonight's election, ignoring numeral 1's shock over the turn of events. I don't care what you think, Rinka. Go back to your shop. This whole situation's gotten pretty messy now. This is still from Federico's perspective. I was starting to panic a bit myself, considering Odette and numeral 12 were outdoing me, but I guess we're at the point where anything can happen. And hey, watching Odette get taken for a ride felt amazing. I was even planning on approaching MIHARU had she opted to go with Odette's info, but seems like I'm best off sticking with Odette for now. When all is said and done, I have to put some serious effort into containing this newfound ambition of mine. 4th week achievement unlocked. That is a long-ass video. We are still Federico. And we're going to be Federico next video. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. That is, yeah. I wanted spicy. We're getting spicy. So the next conversation between Rinka and MIHARU is going to be interesting. I wonder how Odette's going to react to this and if she's going to start to target MIHARU or us. Alan, on the other hand, really should be targeting us because he has our name card. And again, we still haven't seen number 9 at all. We have nothing to do with number 5. And is knowing our cause of death going to remind us that number 4 had something to do with that? So we're going places here. All right, I hope you're looking forward to the next video, because I sure as hell am. I hope you stick around. Let me know what you think of the story here. Make sure you comment, you follow, you subscribe, all that good stuff. Make sure you're following on Twitter and Twitch, and just keeping in touch, because if you're enjoying the content, I would like to meet you, and I would like to know about you, and I'd like to know where you're at, because, yeah, I want to see the community grow, and we're going to keep doing stuff. Anyway, take care. I talked way enough already. Have a great week. I will see you guys next time.